The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. What about us? Peter asked Jesus. We have left everything and followed you. Jesus said, I tell you solemnly, there is no one who has left house, brothers, sisters, father, children, or land for my sake, and for the sake of the gospel, who will not be repaid 100 times over. Houses, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, and land, not without persecution, now in the present time and in the world to come, eternal life. Many who are first will be last, and the last first. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So this is a continuation from the Gospel of yesterday. On the one hand, we find a rich man, a rich young man, who has a lot of possession and does not want to let go. And today in the Gospel, we find Peter, together with all the other apostles, who have let go everything. So on the one hand, there is somebody who is stuck to power, who is stuck to his wealth, who does not want to let go of his wealth, who does not want to let go of anything. He leaves home, he leaves the presence of Jesus sad. And of course, we can never be happy if we leave the presence of God. We do not have Jesus in our lives. It doesn't matter what we possess, we would never be happy. We can have a pleasurable life, but we are never happy if we do not have Jesus in our lives. We might think we are happy, but we can never have happiness without Jesus. And on the other hand, we have the disciples who have surrendered everything. They do not have anything to hold on to. They do not even have any job. They have given up their jobs, their families, their friends, their homeland, and they have followed Jesus. And Jesus promises them 100-fold of what they have sacrificed. Somebody once told us, gave us a real challenge, and he said, if whatever thing you sacrifice is going to be used to build your house in heaven, so whatever thing you have given, your generosity and things like that you have done here on earth is going to determine the kind of house you are going to live in heaven. If you live in houses, there are no houses in heaven. But if whatever thing you sacrifice here on earth is going to be used as a material to be able to build your house in heaven, what kind of house do you have in heaven, do you think, at the moment? So the sacrifices we make, there is nothing that goes in vain. On the other hand, the power that we hold on to, the wealth that we hold on to, the material things that we hold on to, we feel it gives us all that we need, but it instead destroys us. And again, I cannot overemphasize what is happening again in the world today as a result of power. As a result of power, where people just feel they have the power to do whatever thing they want. I was talking about Putin. But we need to remember the history of the Israelites, right from the time of Egypt, when Pharaoh was saying to the people to Moses, I am not going to back down. I'm not going to let go. And what was the end? He lost everything. He lost his people. He lost even his son. He lost all his soldiers because of his stubbornness. He thought he could do everything. Think of King Nebuchadnezzar. During the exile, he was even worshipped as a god because he thought he had all authority to do anything that he wanted in this world. How did he end up? He ended up like a beast in the field, and he was eating grass because he refused to submit to the will of God. And this is what happens to us when we begin to feel that we are in charge, that we are in authority, that we can determine whatever thing would happen. that the world can follow whatever thing we dictate to it. It never works like that. The sacrifices are the things that really matter. And it doesn't matter how little the sacrifice is. Even the fact that instead of having a good sleep till this time, because you could be sleeping, I could be sleeping, that we have made this sacrifice to be here for Mass, it is never in vain. And Jesus says that He rewards that 100-fold. The little sacrifices that we make for the sake of the love of God, for the sake of the love of one another, it is never in vain. We might feel that it's really little, it can do nothing. The same thing to the boy who had just 5 loaves and 2 fish, and he said, how much is this to feed these people? This is little. This is really just my lunch pack. It cannot do anything to these 5,000 people. And Jesus said, this is just what I need. Your little sacrifice. Your little sacrifice. And He tells Peter and the rest of the disciples, you have sacrificed your home, I know. You have sacrificed your family, I know. You have sacrificed your brothers and sisters, I know. You have sacrificed your wife, I know. You have sacrificed your homeland. You have sacrificed your mother because of the love of me, because you want to follow me. I will give you 100-fold, 100-fold of that. When I think about my life as a missionary as well, I think of the sacrifices I've made of family and home and everything. When I came here to the Philippines, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the people I'm going to meet. But you can see I have a lot of family here, a lot of mothers, a lot of brothers and sisters. So whatever sacrifice we make is really an investment. Not investing to get the rewards in this life, but the investment to get the rewards in eternal life. Jesus does not promise the disciples a good life in this life, because this life is nothing compared to eternity. He promises them a better life, a rewarding life in the life to come. This was the message of Our Lady to Bernadette at Lourdes. He said, I do not promise you happiness in this life, but I'm going to promise you happiness in the life to come. And this should be our target, because this is our this life is not our final home. Our target should be life eternal, because that is where we belong. Our target should be heaven, because that is where we belong. My dear brothers and sisters, let us not refrain from making the sacrifices that we have to make for God, loving God with all our hearts, with all our soul, with all our strength, with all our might, such that in the end we will be able to receive the reward that He has promised to all those who love Him.